Well, we are back into wonky hat season. It is super bright today, which is absolutely glorious. It's so nice to see some sun again on days when we can actually get outside. It's obviously the weekend, so that gives Stephen and I Saturday and Sunday to get out here and get busy, although like last weekend Stephen has been snatched by our eldest to go and do something with her both today and tomorrow. But duty of dad gives me time to get on and do some other things where Stephen doesn't need a hand with. He has actually started today to build a kind of a cascading bed. I'll take you in there shortly and show you what he's got up to. This is just going to be a nice feature in the veg plot. Basically, we don't know whether it's going to be flowers or veggies. I'm not too sure yet, but I've just been out checking that everything's okay. I'm just about to do the duck's pond because it was so frosty this morning when we came out again. We've had a few minus sub-zero days where there's been frost on the ground. Had the pony out. We've now got a week of the new routine and it's working really well. Obviously, super sad loss that we had last week. If you haven't seen that video, we sadly lost our elderly horse a week ago yesterday, so it's been a week and a day. It was really difficult, but we're kind of like finding the new routine and everyone's sort of settling into the new slots, and this is the first proper weekend, because last weekend we were still a bit, you know, all over the place. Still are, but for different reasons really. Healing is different for everybody, isn't it? So yeah, this weekend's first proper weekend. Looks like we're going to have nice days both days, so fingers crossed we'll get plenty done. This morning I've already been through the freezers and got some of the meat out for next week, and kind of just to remind myself what we've got going on in there. Had some delicious meals from the freezers and stores this week. I did a lamb and barley one pot, like a hot pot with sliced potatoes on the top. It was absolutely delicious, so Stephen and I enjoyed that. Jack actually had some of that as well, so that went down really well. I'm going to try doing that with the venison that we've got too, but I've got loads of pearl barley in the stores, in the pantry, so I'm going to be using plenty of that. I know it's like Marmite for some people, isn't it, but we really enjoy it. So I'm going to get the ducks done, and then we're going to crack on and I'll show you how the seedlings are doing, which I messed up a bit this week. My head hasn't been 100% where it should be, as I was saying, and I messed up a bit with the seedlings, but I'll show you that next. I'll just get these ducks done first. As with everything, it seems on a small holding. Turn the hose pipe on and there's a huge split in it, presumably from all the frost that we've had, and it's finally gave way. So I've just rang Stephen, who said he's on his way over now anyway, to see if he's got anything that we can put around it. It's a really awkward place on the full length, so I'm not sure. I might have to cut it and put it back together if the tape doesn't work. Anyway, so the ducks will get done at some point. I'll show you the seeds in the meantime. So in here we've got onions and leeks, as you can see from the different labels. We've got some garlic Chinese chives, more buncheon onions, and some more spring sown broad beans. Different variety, that's how you spell it, I don't know how you pronounce it, but a different variety than I've got sown that are actually in the distance over there. They were drooping this morning in the frost, seriously drooping and unhappy. Looks like they've picked up looking through the window, but no sign of anything here at the moment. But I'm pleased to say on the calendula, which is this first lot here, we've got movement, some nice happy seedlings coming through. These have just been in a cold greenhouse, and then some of the sweet peas are finally showing too, so that's really good on that side. But none of the spring onions are through, so I will get plenty more of those sown. And the garlic are looking really good. They can actually go in the ground now. Now in the propagator, look, I have a bit of a problem. I'm not going to take the lid off because I stupidly took it off last night because it was really hot in here, and forgot to put it back on again, and we had the frosts. So I think a few of them, you can see the ones at the front there, a few of the jalapenos have suffered. They're not going to come to anything if they've been nipped already at this age. And then in here, excuse the condensation, like I say, I'm not going to take it off. There's a few things have already started germinating. There's tomatoes, cucumbers and things, so I will show you those later on when things have got back up to temperature. A better view than what you're seeing at the minute. Here's Stephen actually, so let's go and see what he's up to, and then we'll get the ducks done once he has fixed the hose pipe.
We'll see if it fits.
Looks like a huge picture frame.
This is just the start.
Why, what are you doing? Oh, is this to go over the top of it?
Well, you just grab that side.
I'm going to go over a little bit more.
Yes, right. So that's on first impressions, it fits. So that's just going to be the base. It's like 120
by 180 roughly. So then I'm going to make it 120 high as well, which will be like that, and then it'll cascade down to a 80 and then a 40, so it'll have like a 40 centimetre drop, 40 centimetre drop, 40 centimetre drop. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it works out.
It's a lot bigger than I expected, actually. No, it's
Don't make
good.
things small
I know
around
you don't
here.
make things small, you never have. Mint's starting to come through everywhere. They have picked up nicely, actually. These were all completely flopped over this morning with the frost. I'm going to plant the spares, you know, where the cats or the chickens have dug them out as well. Get those in, need to
I could have
decide.
sworn they had white and black things on this yesterday.
They didn't, honestly. Might have to end up taking it apart and, you know, like thinking it back together with a connector.
This will just get us away for now.
Still leaking. Time to get some gardening done now, and I've needed to buy a new hoe because I think I said before, I was magically snapped. Nobody knows how it happened, and it's turned up like this. It is literally wrapped in black plastic all the way up and down. I can't get into it, so I'm gonna have to figure that out, and then I'm gonna start hoeing this first bed next to the polytunnel that had the outdoor tomatoes in last year. Incidentally, we will be doing outdoor tomatoes this year. I always do outdoor girl, but I won't be sowing them until maybe another week or so, because they tend to come on too quickly, and then the ones in the greenhouse can get planted out, etc. But the outdoor girl can't go out until the last frost passed, which here for us in the northeast is well, can be any time up to the end of May. We've had a frost I think it was the 27th of May one year, which killed off all the apple blossoms. So I'm not in a rush, although I say that now, you can guarantee I will be at the time. Not in a rush to get those out, so I will be getting them sowed a little bit later, and I will also take you through all of the different varieties that we've got on a gardening video. But for now, I need to get this off because I want to get that bed hoed. It is due to get some more muck on it, some more compost spread on it, and to be quite honest, looking at what's happening with the muck situation, we might run out because we're obviously trying to fill all of these beds as well. That's never happened before, and sadly, because of the situation that we're in with Lydia, we're only producing probably 2/3 less than what we were, because she was obviously a big girl, and the pony that we've got left was approximately half of her weight. So we shall see how we get on with that. Also, a bit of a strange side note, where we live is at the end of a very secluded lane. The only people that go past are walkers and the farmer, really, or somebody that's lost or having a nosy, which happens from time to time. We have had the odd few instances where there's been people here and they've been up to such dodgy things, shall we say, and we've moved them on. However, our attitude to that has changed over the years, in that we try not to get too involved anymore, because you just don't know what's going to happen ultimately, and at the end of the day, this is where our house, and we've got more to lose than they have, that will leave. The reason I'm telling you this is we've got 2 vans that have been parked overnight since 10 o'clock. The cameras showed that they arrived at 10 p.m. last night, and they're still here, and they're still in the vans. You can hear people there's definitely people in them. I have no idea what they're doing. I haven't heard them get out or anything. They've just got the windows down, parked next to each other, and it's lunchtime now. They've been here, you know, well over, what's that, 14 hours, so keep you posted. That's purely me being nosy.
There you go. That turned out a lot more complicated and became a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. I should have looked up some designs online first, but it might look over-engineered, but it's going to be cladded down to there, and then cladded down to there, and then obviously cladded all around it, so all you'll see once it's full of soil is the 3 tiers, and then we'll just grow some nice pretty flowers in it.
Looks like a podium.
Yeah, it's seating area, bleachers. Right, just a quick update on this new build. I was going to use this rubber stuff to clad the hole inside and fill the whole thing with compost, but then Tracy came up with a better idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this. I mean, this is super thick rubber. You've got to tear it with a Stanley knife. So we're going to create like a sling like that in between each one, and then we only have to fill up that little bit rather than the whole thing with compost. So it makes my life a bit easier. I just need to do a few little titivations so I can get it screwed in. So I'm just going to use these bits of wood and then screw them to the edge like that, and screw through this and screw that to the edge, so it keeps it nice and strong. And then I'll just lay another bit at either side, and then we'll only have to use one bag of compost rather than 1,000. Good idea.
Given that we might be running short. Well, we are fully making use of this nice day. Jack is in the polytunnel helping me out in there, and I have got all of these beds done. This is wild garlic, yarrow, chives, a plant that I can't remember the name of because the lady gave it to me. I took her a load of pots for free and she insisted that I took it, and I said I shall plant it there, and she said be careful, it will take over. So when that comes through I will get the name of it because I can't remember it at the minute. Tree lilies in here. I cut this right down and it's actually starting to come back. Can you see? Can you see there? Happy days. So things, another tree lily there. Can't remember what's in that pot. Swiss chard. This is fire chard. I've just cleaned all around them, took sort of as many of the dead leaves off as I can. The chickens have clearly been in here and enjoying themselves as well, but hopefully that problem's resolved now. And then I've hoed this bed. It took me forever to get the wrapper off that hoe. Anyway, I had Stephen in the end. That sounds pathetic, doesn't it? But anyways, this bed is now being weeded, and there's a few odd ones, but I've took them up with the hoe, so they should be absolutely fine. Now that the sun's out, they might dry them out a little bit. This is just some giant leaf parsley that every year we seem to manage to overwinter some. That's done really, really well. So next up, over in the distance, those beds over there are what I'm going to be working on, where we had the carrots and the beetroot and the beans and things, just literally clearing those out. I'm ready for this year. They'll need topping up as well, but we might get away with just compost, as in bags of compost. And what I mean by we might get away with it, as in hopefully we won't need too much, so bags of compost might suffice because we're really running out of this good stuff here. Just as a reminder, in case you've not seen before, these are our 4 compost bins that Stephen made, and what he's been doing while he's been off is taking out of each bay, not this one clearly, just taking the top off each one, which is the least rotted down stuff, and then using them for the base of the beds that he's been making over here, so that obviously the least rotted down is on the bottom, and then he's just taken a slice off each one and using that, and then once it gets down to the very bottom, which is the oldest stuff, that will then be on the top. So in theory we're hoping that anything that's like not rotted as well, not rotted down as much as the other, is on the bottom, and then if the roots get to it and it burns, there's nothing we can do. We're just gonna have to try. I've just got some fresh bedding on here, some cold bedding actually, so that's okay. But that's what it's looking like. That's what he's been doing. And he's also replaced this panel here. I said it was a strawberry bed in the last video that he'd done. I'd got that wrong. He said it was this sort of kickboard or whatever you want to call it here is replaced. They were completely rotting into the ground, and he's also taken the Jerusalem artichoke canes down, and there are plenty of Jerusalem artichokes under here. Unfortunately, a lot of these stones are in that bed as well. It's just, you know, it's going to be a long process. We've just got to prioritise which jobs that we're doing. This is the fruit bed, or some of the fruit. Gooseberries looking extremely unruly. There is a sucker from a tree randomly there. We need to sort that out. I haven't touched these raspberries this year. We do need to sort out the ropes that are on them to try and contain them, because I think some of these posts actually snapped previously. Stephen, I'm sure, will know, and we'll have a plan to replace them if needed. And then the currant bushes, they're already budding. Did I show you that before? Can you see on the camera? That's the black currant, in the middle is the red currant, and at the bottom is a white currant. The white currant is never as vigorous as the red or the black. I think that's by nature, but it's actually looking quite goblet shaped. It's not looking on the camera at the minute, but trust me, I'm a professional. Not in the slightest. Right, so I'm going to get over there now. I'm going to get those beds emptied and see if we can make things just look a little bit neater. I've got my bucket and my gloves to go and get those beds done. It's difficult at the minute because I haven't got anywhere to go to throw the compost, obviously with using all of those bays to put on the beds. So I'm just feeding the weeds to the chickens, which seem to be really appreciative of it. So those people that I was telling you about, they actually left at lunchtime. So we went out to have a look if they'd left any sort of mess or anything, and of course they had. They'd apparently had a party there, which good on them, you know, enjoy yourself and all of that good stuff, but take your rubbish with you. They didn't even but take your rubbish with you. They just left it all. So they'd actually thrown the bottles and the cans. There was a bottle in the farmer's field where the livestock are, and all the rest was just thrown on the floor, full of cigarettes and everything as well, and some boxer shorts. So God knows what they've been up to. Anyway, long story short, we've managed to find out who it was and asked them, or told them, that they need to come back today and remove it, and then no more will be done about it, and they have. So hopefully that's going to be the end of it for them and for us, and it'll make them think again that if you're going to do something like that, just tidy up. You know, we're all not trying to spoil anyone's fun or anything, but just leave it in a better place than what you found it, or a better state than what you found it. It's not a lot to ask, is it? Right, I'm going to get on with these beds, these little beds down here. So that was beans, down by my feet was beetroot. Might be the odd trophy in there, a bit of treasure that we can have for our meal this week as well. Well, Stephen is getting on in the background there with his ever increasing in size cascading feature, we shall say. We haven't yet decided still what we're putting in it. He's been shouting me up and down to give him a hand with certain things, but it's coming on fantastically, so I'm sure that'll be done. He hasn't got everything he needs to finish it, he was saying, but I'll let him tell you all about that. So here I've got 4 beds done, and I've found some hidden treasures. So as I said, this was the bean bed. Now last year what I learned, well I knew, but we just wanted to see how it would work out. This bed is underneath this pear tree. I think that's pear. I'm confused myself now. So maybe something a bit more shade loving can go under here, because the beans needed a little bit more light than what was given. Beetroot did magnificently in this bed, and although it doesn't look kind of a nice clean tidy bed, that's because I've left all of the leaves in there that had fell off the trees, so they will just mulch down. Absolutely beautiful. But look, these are the hidden treasures. So the beetroot did wonderfully in there. There's chogia, pablos, bull tardis in here, so I will get these taken inside and we can use those this week and beyond. So note to self, keeping a beetroot over the winter really works. And then in this bed over here, this is all nice and fresh and tidy, ready to receive whatever goes in it. Stephen was just talking about putting one of the honeyberry bushes in here, but I think that's a waste of a raised bed. There's space over here just behind the fork that I think we'll put. We've got 2 honeyberries, I believe, off the top of my head, that you need 2 to pollinate each other. So I think we'll do that, we shall see. But bearing in mind there's leaves on all of these in the summer, so we do try and stay on top of them so they don't provide too much shade. And these guys here, once they become established and they find their feet and they start growing, are obviously going to provide more shade as well. So we're going to have to be careful and not overcrowd. Oh, incidentally, this isn't a gardening video, but while we're here, this apple tree here didn't survive the move. The others did really well, so we do need to replace this one, and I can't remember what we said we were putting there. So I'm sure now that I've said that on the video, Stephen and I will have a conversation about it, because we need to get whatever it is moved. It's the 1st of March today. Right, this bed, I didn't think there was any carrots left in it. My goodness me, what a nightmare this turned out to be. I knew this bed had nettles in it, so this was covered with, I used these bendy, what they're called, you know what I mean, and I put some carrot fly mesh over them, so that to protect them, but that meant that I didn't stay on top of them in terms of being able to see what was underneath. And because they were main crops, they were just left to their own devices, so that we could come back and harvest them. And when I started harvesting them, there was just more nettles than carrots, and I thought, this hasn't worked at all. It clearly has worked, because there's some really nice carrots in here, just not huge, you know, but that's okay. So again, we'll be taking these in. I've taken out as many of the nettles as I can. There's actually humongous thistle, but these are the nettle roots. Can you see? They were literally thick and the length of the bed taken over. So this bed I'm going to have to keep an eye on this year. We'll figure that out. Not too sure what's going where yet, because I haven't done my plan, which is very unusual for me, because we just didn't know what we were going to be ending up with from a bed point of view. These are the leeks that we will now be eating our way through, so I have been using the odd one. I was hoping that they would thicken up, and they might thicken up yet over the next month or so, but to be quite honest, I think that we're just going to use them, and that's fine. They were Elephant and Cairngorms varieties, and I've got different varieties this year, which again I'll share with you. So that bed will either get harvested tomorrow or we will just consciously make use of them. But the thing is though, if I don't have them in the house when it's dark, I don't want to come outside and start harvesting leeks. So really, if I harvest them and freeze them, that's probably going to be the best idea. And then this bed again just needs tidying up, the same as the ones that we've already done. And then I can make clear all of these leaves, use those as a mulch on the rhubarb or whatever it might be for, and then that'll keep this nice and, well, leaf free, and just make it a little bit less slippy. So once it starts raining and everything, it becomes quite slippy. But you can see here there's no leaves over here because these have come from these trees that had a lot more leaves on them. And then that'll be this area already, so really good job done. There's a couple of other little jobs to do, but we can get to those. The sun is just starting to go down. You can feel the change in temperature. It's quite dramatic, and it's only 4:30, but it's light till 5:30, 6 o'clock at the moment. Nearer 6 o'clock it's still light enough, which is, makes such a big difference, doesn't it? It's absolutely lovely. And on a morning as well, to have lighter mornings. We're there, it's the 1st of March, and that's the meteorological spring, isn't it? So we'll go for that one, and then later on 21st of March, I'm sure, is it the 21st this year? But anyway, the astrological, so looking forward to that. Lots of light makes us feel a lot better. See how Stephen's getting on, because then I'm going in for an Epsom bath. I am aching.
Right, I'll get all that tomorrow. Right, well that's it for tonight. Doesn't feel like we've got much done today. Well, I haven't. It's been a bit of a slow day, but turns out Tracy's idea was a good one. She has one every now and again. So all we've done is with this thick rubber, I'll do these ends tomorrow when I get round to it. So it's like you can see, it's really good stuff. So we've just screwed it into like a hammock that we can fill up, and then saves on all the stuff that I was going to put in, and we can also move it around if we need to. It'll be easy, at least it'll be easy to move and easy to clear out. So I'll just get some pieces of wood tomorrow and do the same what I've done across the top there and screw them in, and then that'll be finished and ready to clad. I think we're going to clad it in featherboard or something like that, something light, so we can move it about and that. I'll level it all up and everything tomorrow, but I've had enough for today, so that's it.
Well, back out, it's Sunday morning, the second time I've been outside this morning. I've been out and done all of the animals' barn jobs, Sonic's been out, everything's done there, so I don't need to worry about any of those until a bit later on this afternoon. It's nowhere near as warm as it was yesterday, though Stephen was saying yesterday he thinks the sun didn't come out till later. I thought it was out pretty early on the morning, but can't remember. Either way, it's definitely a lot cooler to be working in at the minute, hence the hat. I've took this, I think this is Stephen's. He was gifted it before from a family member for Christmas. It's one of those with the lights and the music, but he's not into all of that, so it was in the cupboard, because I'm going to have to find my hats. I think I bring them out, I get so warm I take them off, and then I've forgotten where they all are. So that's on the list to do today. Priority, keep our heads warm. Anyway, I'm going to get over yonder, get those beds finished that I started, that I mentioned yesterday, and I've also got a whole host of what Jack's left when he has done the polytunnel from yesterday. He's done a grand job of inside the polytunnel, but you know, he's left stuff, as teenagers tend to do, for us to tidy up, but that's absolutely fine because it saved me a big job. He's done a great job of clearing the polytunnel, so that's going to be ready for planting as well. Lots to be getting on with, so let's get started. Well, good news and bad news. The good news is the sun has been out, and I think it's going to come back out again, so Stephen was right. Good news, we've got tons of leaves here to be able to use to start filling those beds, and also I've managed to get what was the sweet corn bed of last year, which won't be doing it in that again this year. That was an experiment. That's cleared, and also this carrot bed there is completely cleared now as well. I have got a tray of carrots that I can take into the house, so that's all really good news. The bad news is, well, I'm saying it tongue-in-cheek, it's not bad news, but at the beginning of March it's always the case, as soon as you start getting the more daylight and you're outside for longer, because there's so much more light to be able to work in, you start realising how much there is to do. Even just cleaning all of these leaves away and sort of getting the place so that it's ready to be used is a massive job in itself. So anyway, I'm going to keep getting on with that. Stephen has just come out, he's making his way back up to where he's working on the Cascade bed, and we're just going to keep at it. So next to these compost bays that Stephen's been taking the compost from, we've got our hedge behind it, which is, I can't remember the name, I couldn't remember the name then for a second. And from the other side, there's a lot of these thistly brambles that are coming through, or prickly, should I say, not thistly brambles. And they are then sprawling and taking over. So I'm going to chop them all off as best I can and just pop them behind the compost bins. This was a pathway, but obviously we have now got this pathway here, which we're using. This is where we're pretty much just storing all of the thick stuff that at some point we may end up taking out and burning. We're just going to let it rot down as best we can. But I'm just going to try and tidy this up as best I can before Stephen's not got the hedge cutters out today or anything like that. Obviously it will need it in the future, but just to see what we're working with. Honestly wish I hadn't started. Getting there. There's the tray of carrots that I got with the beetroot from yesterday. So pretty much done with what I was working on over here. It might not look like this has been swept, but trust me, it has. It's not the easiest thing to sweep when it's got like wet mud on it or wet compost, whatever it is. So all the leaves and everything that were on here and out in the bottom of some of those beds. Couldn't really get round here for all the brambles and things. This yew still needs trimming back and tidying up the top up there, which we couldn't get into when we first did this last year, but we will get onto that. Got to be careful on how we get rid of that because it's yew and that's poisonous for animals, for livestock certainly. So all around here we couldn't get to. You can see the debris that's left, but all of this is being cleared, and the brambles that were in there still sticking out. You can see obviously they're over there and down the back of the compost space, but in terms of easy access, that's all sorted now, so a lot happier with that. So while Stephen's busy on filling his barrows for the beds that we're filling together, I'm going to go back over here and another job that needs doing just for this last bit. You see all these vines on the floor here, these need tidying up basically. They're starting to take over all the way down the back there, so I'm going to get this bit tidied up, and then I think that that's this area here done. Obviously there's the leeks that we'll be eating. I'm really pleased if we get that done.
So like Tracy said, today's mainly about getting the compost bins emptied and trying to get these filled. So what we're doing is doing it layer by layer, so we're getting all the freshest stuff off the top, because we haven't been returning it like we should have been, because we didn't plan on redoing the whole veg plot. So we're trying to get the freshest stuff off the top, putting it in first, getting it a good trample down, and as we go down the compost bins where it gets more and more rotten, we'll get that further and further on the top. So we get about 10 barrows in each of the small ones, 20 in the big one, and it gets it to about this level. I'm trying to compact it down as much as we can so we can get as much in as we can, and then the less we'll have to spend on like shop bought compost. So we're currently 60 barrows in, and we've got another 2 to go to get it to this level, and then I'll start again on the more rotten stuff and put another layer on the top of each one with that. It's going to be a long day.
So while Stephen's taking the middles out of these 2 beds and starts filling them up again, I'm going to just quickly show you this rhubarb bed. Incidentally, if you're wondering why we're taking the middles out, obviously it's for, well, twofold, so that any roots can get down into the soil that's already there, and also so any worms can get up into the compost that we're putting in. There's actually a big worm there, I've just seen that he's exposed. So this is really good soil that we've got in here. It's just we have never been able to correct it enough because the beds that were here were already full to the brim with the soil that we had in. So this at the back here is what we've done with the rhubarb. Now obviously the rhubarb is a lot lower down than you would plant that if you'd put the beds in first. So the plan with this is we're literally just going to let this settle in this year. We'll top up around it with rotten manure, and then each year when the rhubarb dies back, we'll just add more manure to the top, so it's got a little bit more to get through as the years go by. We're not in a rush to get this filled up. Obviously we can fill the sides as best we can, etc., but we don't want to drown the rhubarb out. I'm actually getting plagued by flies while I'm talking to you, so it's a definite sign of spring, isn't it? So all this wood that we've got used here, you can see a lot of it is completely rotten, hence the need why we needed to replace it. Some of it, if it's salvageable, Stephen will no doubt salvage it, but there's some behind him there, and there's some on the floor down here to the right of the camera that we're obviously going to need to take care of. There's more in the distance over there, so we're very much in, right in the midst of this at the minute. It's going to take a few weeks for us to get on top of everything, but I think we'll probably end up using that wood for a fire and cook a few baked potatoes outside, something like that. Right, well that's another job done. Really pleased with that. So I've taken that all the way back. It looks quite a harsh trim, but actually this is one tough cookie. I think it's actually holding a pergola up after the storm. And I've taken it off all the way around here so that when you're going through that, it's not going to wipe your eyes out either, which is good. And all the floor is clear all along the edge along here. There's different weeds and things. There's jack by the hedge, that weed there coming through. So we'll have to start adding that into the routine, but pretty much taking a step back without falling over. That's this bit now complete, so I have to now go grab this barrow, empty it and go and help Stephen with the filling up the beds from the manure pile. So out of the 4 compost bays that we've got, this one is the least rotted, and then we'll start working our way up to the most rotted. Stephen said to me, we'll just do 100 barrows and then we'll stop. And he wasn't joking either.
So as you can see, even as we're emptying that bed that wasn't as rotted down as the other ones, you can just see the difference straight away from that bed next to me to this one that we're doing. Just how much better compost it is as the further you get down. So our cunning plan is working.
I don't know if that's coming up on video, but this is particularly still rotting. Hope it works. That sky looks really weird.
Right, well that's 100 or 101 barrels of compost, depends on who's counting. So as you can see, as we move down the beds, this is what 100 barrels does. So moving down these 3, you can tell in the colour as we get further and further down how much more rotted it is. Once we get to this one, you can see how much darker and more rotted down it is. So when we've emptied 2.5 full bays of compost down there, so we've just topped up a few more in these ones. So you sachet down this way.
You and your bloody sachet.
Like you can see, it's getting darker and darker as we're topping it up and topping it up. So we've just topped up a few more on this one, a few more on this one, and a few more on this one. That's just what we did earlier, which is the fresher stuff, which needs some more rotted down stuff on it. Well, that's it for now. 101 barrows in. We're calling it a day for the barrows, but we've got a few things to do after dinner by digging and replanting some plants. So we're going to get some dinner first, knock off for half an hour, and then get back to it.
Okay.
Right, well, just a quick update of what we've been getting on with after we had dinner. So when I've redone a lot of the beds, I've had to rehome some of the plants that were in there. So this cardoon, is it? Cardoon? So we've just removed that from the strawberry bed. I'll show you in a minute what I've done with that. So we've just removed that to there. We've finished off this up to now. I'll pick up some cladding on the way home tomorrow. So I've secured in all the rubber, got it all level, all straight, so that's where that's going to stay. So I'll clad that tomorrow, hopefully weather permitting, when I get home from work. So we've just done, so this is our strawberry bed that just needs weeding, but I took that cardoon and a lemon balm out the back of it so I could extend it. So I've just extended it with these new bits of wood here so that the net goes all the way over, because the runners off the strawberries were taking over the whole bed. So this will just be a whole strawberry bed for this year. So that's to do, just to weed the net to put back over it, then that's done. So if we go down here, well, lastly we took out a lemon balm which we took over there, but it was too big, so we chopped it in half, put it in this pot so to constrict it, because like mint, it just grows and takes over everything. So hopefully that'll contain itself in there. We took a rosemary plant out which was in the back of one of the beds, so we've rehomed that there next to the path so it's easy to pick, and also the same with the bay tree that we took out. So I've just replanted that there so it's nice and easy on the path, clean to pick it whatever the weather. So while I've been getting on with all that, Tracy's been tidying up over the polytunnel what Jack left yesterday. So she's got all that done, all that's put away. So now we're going to knock off. I've got a taxi run to do, Tracy's probably got other stuff to do, but that's it for today.